The Toronto Maple Leafs are making moves following 3 straight brutal losses. They made an interesting move. We're going to break that move down as well as discuss multiple injury updates that has major implications going forward as the Maple Leafs desperately try to bounce back. So stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before you get into a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. If you're a part of the percentage who aren't subscribed to the channel, this is the place to be for daily Leafs content. And the Leafs are not rolling right now, but they hope to get back on track tomorrow against an extremely good New Jersey Devils team. And not only a good New Jersey Devils team, one that is, of course, hosting, or the head coach is former Leaf Sheldon Keefe. But Darius, there's a lot to go over today, and this is interesting, and it's just a lot of things to go over. So we'll start with this. Some Jake McCabe. That is the big storyline today. It seems like his return is not going to be tomorrow, but it is going to be on Saturday against a Montreal Canadiens team. Now, usually against a Canadiens team, you're thinking, hey, this should be a pretty easy win. The Canadiens are playing better than the Leafs in the past handful of games. They've been on fire. Their goaltending has been absolutely insane. They have a star rookie goalie. Everything's going their way. And this is a great time for Jake McCabe to return to the lineup. We also have an update on Anthony Stolarz, which we'll get into in a little bit here. But Darius, Jake McCabe is making his return very, very soon. And at this point, finally, we can say that his return is imminent.
Yeah, it looks like it's going to be Saturday. It doesn't look like he'll play Thursday against the New Jersey Devils, which we'll gloss over a little bit in this video. I mean, it's a big game. Sheldon Keefe's return to Toronto. Obviously, they played the Devils already this season, but his first game back in Toronto. But that's a big one. But there's a big one on Saturday as well against the Montreal Canadiens. And I mean, the Montreal Canadiens, like you alluded to, are rolling right now. Hot rookie goaltender. Patrick Laine is doing his thing. He got his first even strength goal last night. So the Leafs, this is not an easy win. This is not the Montreal Canadiens of, the last couple of years. And even then, I mean, the Leafs have had a tough time with them. But this is going to be a tough game against the Montreal Canadiens. They're going to need both of these guys coming back into the lineup in short order. Obviously, Stolarz is a little ways away, but having McCabe back on Saturday, I think will make a big difference.
Yeah, and you can see this here. Now there's some good news in the near future. Dreger said on TSN's postgame show, I doubt that McCabe is going to play against the Devils on Thursday, more than likely against the Canadiens on Saturday. And I think that for the coaching staff, they'll be pretty happy to get him back into the mix. McCabe missed 5 games in December after taking a puck to the head. We remember that game. We were live after that game. We hoped it wasn't going to be anything crazy. Ultimately, it was. Now, let us know down below your thoughts on that and if you're excited to see Jake McCabe return, because ultimately the defense has looked very bad lately, and I don't think it's just because Jake McCabe hasn't been there. I think it's more so just the team is in a bit of a slump like every team goes through, but their effort level has been bad, and we do have some quotes from Berube, Austin Matthews, and some guys on the loss and how their effort has been. Stay tuned for that. But regarding the goaltending and Anthony Stolarz, since a 30-year-old goaltender went down with an injury, Toronto has given up 54 goals against, the second most in the NHL behind the Blackhawks. They also have almost a sub 900 save percentage at 5-on-5 since December 13th, which is the sixth worst in the league. Sorry. Toronto's been mostly strong at both ends. I mean, we think about a month ago when the Leafs were the best goaltending team in the league, one of the best goaltending teams in the league, the best tandem. And now with Hildebrand struggling a little bit, Joseph Woll struggling a little bit as well here, the goaltending has went from really good to pretty sketchy, I guess is a word I'll use, where it's, you never really know. Maybe one game you'll have Joseph Woll have a great game like he did a couple games ago, and then he'll come back out, he'll let in some easy ones. They desperately need Anthony Stolarz back as well, and I think sometimes Leafs fans might forget that again. They're missing arguably their most important defenseman, one of their most important defensemen at the very least, of course, Tanev, but they're also missing their undoubtedly 1A best goaltender in Anthony Stolarz, and that's his return is going to come, or most likely going to come, at the end of January into the first week of February, with the first week of February being the likely date here.
Yeah, and I see a lot, being made out of, Jake McCabe online this morning about, and not just this morning, yesterday too, that, if the Leafs are waiting for Jake McCabe to come back to really kick it into high gear, maybe they have a bigger problem. Jake McCabe is a good defenseman, and we've seen it this year. Like he's kind of like the glue guy, right? Like you need him in there to make the line, the pairings work, and him and Tanev together, I think, have been really, really good. So I think he's going to make a difference when he comes back into the lineup. He's been really good for the Leafs this season. And Stolarz, again, I think he's the starter at this point. I love Joseph Woll. I'm a big Joseph Woll supporter, but I think the best role for Joseph Woll right now is to have him as maybe not a backup per se, but in that role where he can come in and kind of clean up games, right, where they need be. And Stolarz kind of takes the brunt of the action because he's been that good. And we mentioned it on stream yesterday. I feel like Stolarz is more free flowing as a goaltender. and Joseph Woll is more technically sound, I guess. And, sometimes he doesn't dive for certain pucks because it's not in his technicalities, I guess, right? I don't know how to word it per se, but I think he's too technically sound sometimes, and that's why he doesn't make the big saves or the saves that you really need in moments like that, like Stolarz does. So Stolarz to me is a starting goaltender. When he comes back, I think this team will be a little bit different. At a time this season, the Leafs weren't letting up more than 2 goals in a game. When you look at last night, I think Woll only had 24 shots against. He gives up 4 goals, right? So he's been very hot and cold, and you never really know what you're going to get with him. And the team can't really play in front of that. But if you have Stolarz there stealing games, and then you can bring a Woll in whenever needed, right? And they're both playing well. That's the best dynamic for this team. So we're eagerly awaiting Anthony Stolarz to return to the lineup at this point.
Yeah, and his return will be coming soon. And it's interesting. You see from Jay Fresh, curious how Leafs fans are feeling about Benoit at the moment. To me, he's a really good number 7 defenseman, inconsistent, but when he's going, he can be a quality shutdown D-man. And it kind of leads into the fact that Marshall Rafai has been sent and assigned to the Marlies. I mean, he's been getting called up, getting sent down, still didn't play. So they clearly don't have faith in him. And I don't know if you have any thoughts on this, Darius. I was hoping we get to see him a little bit, see what he's been, has to offer. But I guess with Benoit playing, not Benoit, with, all the Philip Myers playing so well, there wasn't a ton of space. I mean, maybe you replace him with Connor Timmins. I mean, I would have changed something up, but ultimately they sent Marshall Rafai down, and Jake McCabe is going to be up soon here. And regarding Benoit, I think he's been okay. He's obviously surrounded by a lot better defensemen than he was last season. So.
No, he is. And I think that's kind of, what Leaf fans are dealing with so far this season. I've been thinking about it, and Simone Benoit, I think last season was kind of this revelation in a way where he came in, he was this physical force, and everything looked pretty good with him because I think the Leafs defense was just weaker last year. When you look at it this year, you have much better defensemen on the blue line. You have OEL, who's, been struggling at times this season. Chris Tanev, I think, is their best defenseman right now. Like, the defense core just looks a lot better. So Benoit looks a little worse, I think. And his play is a little bit worse than last year on top of that. So I think it just looks that much worse. And in terms of Marshall Rafai and him being sent down, it's more just paper, transactional move, because if he stays up for a certain amount of games, he's then going to have to go through waivers. So they kept him around just in case somebody got hurt. He's getting an NHL paycheck. He's practicing with the big club, so it was a good experience for him, just stuff like that. So he's being sent down for those reasons, but I'm sure at some point we'll see him again. And I think he's going to be a big piece for this organization moving forward as like another option, like a 6th defenseman, 7th defenseman. So keep an eye on him in the future and how he continues to develop.
Yeah, and hopefully the power play continues to get going as well. They're 2 for their last 14. They've been playing not great hockey whatsoever, and there were some quotes about it here before I wrap up. Craig Berube came out and said, I thought we had a good start. Things were good, and we did a lot of good things. We defended well against a really good team. They are tight, and they don't give you much. It was going to be a low-event game of 5-on-5. Special teams were the difference tonight. So, I mean, he praise the Leafs a little bit. I don't know if praise is the word. Austin Matthews are going through adversity right now, and these are the kind of moments where we got to come together even more and stick with each other and work our way out of it. And finally, I don't know, again, work pretty hard. They want to call that on John Tavares. That was the second penalty, but let everything else go in the game. I'm not going to get into the referees because the referees aren't the reason that the Leafs are losing. We are not working. We are working. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on that. Let us know down below. There's a lot of things going on with the Leafs. We're going to keep you updated with all the latest news, and let us know if you're excited for Jake McCabe's return on supposedly Saturday. Either way, we'll keep you up to date, and hopefully the Leafs can get going soon for the game tomorrow. Thank you guys for watching. See you later.